Hello everyone, welcome to week 3, day 4 of the Task With Me warm-up series. Apologies for the noise. There's a group of bicyclists on the road here. It's pretty cool when you see that. You don't see it very often, maybe once every 2-3 months, I'd say, at least in this area. I've actually seen it more in this area than I ever have before. Okay, so again, welcome to week 3, day 4 of the Task With Me series warm-up. We're still in the warm-up phase and we're trudging along here. Maybe trudging along is not the best word because it sort of implies that I'm not enjoying this, but it is quite the opposite. I am very much enjoying this, and I'm excited for today's walk because I believe at this point we are a little over the halfway point of the warm-up series. So that to me is a huge milestone. The fact that I've already made it this far, it proves to me that I am actually able to maintain this habit. And I hope that we have some people that have started with me since the beginning and are also following the same habit and are doing the same routine and are seeing results. They're noticing that they're stronger, more capable, their cardiovascular health has increased, so on and so forth. This wraps up the 3rd week, and today we have a 40-minute walk. Up until this point, it's the longest walk we have done, which makes sense since we're increasing the time. Again, if we're thinking about that FIT formula, the 3rd pillar, time, frequency, intensity, and time, and we're getting through to 40 minutes. Now 40 minutes is nice because we're only 20 minutes away from our ultimate goal, which is 60 minutes, and 20 more minutes is not, again, I don't want to say it's trivial, but it's not so much that it's crazy and will prevent you from eventually getting to that 1 hour. So we're getting there and we are close, and before you know it, we are going to be jogging and walking. Now, something that I thought was cool, or something that I have been doing that I think is cool, is at the end of my walks, I jog back to where I started. Now, sometimes at the end of my walk, I'm closer to where I started. Sometimes I'm a little bit further, but I'm a little bit anxious and I want to see if things have changed already with the amount of time that I've put into this. And I'm glad to report that it has. So if you're all following me, I'm curious to know if things have changed for you too. So what has changed for me? I noticed that when I do that jog at the end, my knees don't hurt as much. The way that I breathe is a lot more controlled, and I generally just feel strong when I'm running. I feel grounded, if that makes any sense. Previously, I would feel brittle. Now I feel grounded. It's like, I remember when I used to work out my core a lot, and I started noticing that other exercises became easier because I had a strong core, for example, a bench press or a shoulder press. You can literally feel your core working when you're doing those sorts of exercises. And in a similar fashion, I also feel the same way now with having started to walk and just sort of strengthen my legs. I know my legs have gotten stronger. I really do feel it, and I also really do see it. So again, that's what I've been doing at the end. Normally these jogs they're short, 30 seconds, maybe a minute if I'm lucky, but even that's still hard right now, and that's mostly a cardio thing. I feel like I just get too tired and I can't control my breath as good as I'd like to. So again, this is day 4 of week 3, so hoping that you all are having a great day, or have had a great day on this Saturday, my first Saturday of my PTO that I'm so excited for. We'll get into that in a second, but I'm excited to see where we go from here. So let's talk about PTO. Let's talk about what this Saturday means for me and why I'm so excited to get this walk in today. And then we'll also talk about why it's coming a little bit later than normal. So it's my first PTO. Not my first PTO, but my first day of official PTO. And I'm really excited because I waited a long time for this, as most people do when they take their PTO. And I also happened to get the Series X at the same time. So I have a lot of time to really dig deep into the console, enjoy it for what it is. And let me tell you, I've already enjoyed it. I've already been installing a lot of games. Fallout 4, I've installed Skate 3, Fallout New Vegas, of course Cyberpunk. And every time I turn that system on, it's always like the first time. I enjoy it so much, and I think it's such a great investment that I did, because it just gives me a better gaming experience. And since I love it so much, since I love gaming so much, why not invest in something that's gonna make me really happy? So my PTO lasts until January 4th, which means I have ample time to recover, spend time with family, spend time with my girlfriend, spend time with her family, spend time with my dog, and just rest, you know, well-rested bonus, like in Fallout New Vegas, and I think Fallout 3, but it's exciting. And the cool thing is I decided to sacrifice, I say quote-unquote sacrifice because it's not really a sacrifice, but I just decided to hold off on 5 days. I figured I'm already working from home, so PTO, it's not as important. I figured let me take 5 days over to the new year, so that way next year, when things hopefully get back to normal, I have a little more of an allotment of vacation days I can take, and I could really put it to good use. And it will allow me to save some money, and who doesn't love saving money? So I'm really into that. Very much looking forward to the holidays this year. Even with the whole pandemic going around, there are ways to make it special, and I think that my girlfriend and I and our families are looking to do that. So it's gonna be a fun time all around. And then we'll see what the new year brings. But for now, I'm going to be enjoying the first day of my PTO. Now, why is this video coming a little bit later than normal? Most of the time on Saturdays. First, as you all know, last Saturday, I went someplace special to film the Saturday video. Since I have a little more time and I have, you know, the GoPro, I figured, hey, why not mix things up a little bit, go to a different location. My intent was to do that today, but to be honest, I woke up a little bit later. I wanted to sleep in. I started getting into Cyberpunk, and by the time I knew it, about an hour ago, I saw that some of the parks that I wanted to go to are a little bit far and they were already closing. So I decided to keep the walk to the normal area I walk in, but maybe I'll venture out a little more since we do have that 40-minute time to get through. And we'll see where the walk takes us today. I'm excited. I'm still maintaining my brisk walking speed. Although I'm not wearing running shoes today, I'm wearing Crocs, which they're very comfortable, but maybe not the best in terms of support for my knees and my legs. But I encourage you all to maintain that brisk walking speed when you're doing this walk. So that's why it's coming a little bit later today. Also, I had a little bit of an issue with the GoPro when I put it on. I have the head strap, and the head strap comes with 3 different screws, and I'm not sure because they all look like they're the same. Maybe they're off by 1/8. You can't really tell, but it's a little bit annoying to screw the camera on. And for whatever reason today, what ended up happening is, I don't know if you ever have screwed something in and you know that it continues to screw even though it's on the edge of the material that you're screwing it into. In that case, you end up messing up with the threading. Maybe that's what happened to mine, but this thing was so tight and the GoPro was still not fixed against the mount. So I spent a while with that, trying to get it to work, and I think what I ended up doing was the screws that it comes with are sort of wrapped around this plastic, and they expose the head of the screw, so you can actually take your own Phillips screwdriver and try to tighten it yourself. I think first they want you to tighten it with your hands, since the wrapping plastic has some pads that you can use for your fingers. And then if you need to, you can just use your own Phillips head and sort of screw it in with the exposed part of the screw. This is interesting. It's a, I don't know if y'all see this, but it's a squirrel It's a squirrel piece of art. It's cool. I thought it was real, and I was thinking, man, that's a really big squirrel. Okay, so that's why the video is coming to you a little bit later today. Wasn't my intent, but I think it's kind of cool. We do sort of an afternoon video here. Things change, the dynamic changes. It's a Saturday and it's quiet. It's quiet in this suburb here, and that is really cool. I took some notes, as I normally do. I have them here in my pocket. Good news is I haven't even really gotten to the notes yet, or maybe I have. Let me see. Channel updates. Well, we've already talked a little bit about the channel, but let me actually give a small introduction for the newcomers, if any, hopefully. Task with Me is a channel where I try and help anyone that's viewing break up the rut of their day. What does that mean? Well, it just so happens that this first series is centered around fitness. In the coming weeks and months, you'll see that we will start changing to other things. But I wanted to document my progress to a 10K, and I'm hoping that other people can join me and do it along with me. And that's why we started with fitness. This warm-up series goes for 7 weeks. Right now we are wrapping up our 3rd, and we will eventually be starting, you know, the 4th, 5th, 6th. After the 7th week, we will be getting to jogging and walking. We pretty much at the end of that will be doing an hour with 40 minutes of jogging and 20 minutes of walking. Whereas at the end of this 7 weeks, we'll get to a point of 60 minutes walking. That's what Task With Me is. If you want to follow me through my journey on a 10K and do it yourself, pay attention to the YouTube videos. You listen to the video while you do your walk. Video is as long as the workout you need to do for the day. I'm following a workout from a website called Runner's World, and they document the whole process there. The YouTube videos are the most important videos for you to watch because they follow the routine exactly as it is written. Sometimes if I tend to go on Reddit, or if I go elsewhere, I'll normally post about it on Twitter. But the most important videos are the YouTube videos if you want to follow along with me to that 10K journey. I was looking at it the other day, and I think by the end we end up doing 8 miles or so. So 8 miles is fantastic because I literally have never done that. So I think that's pretty neat. And that's definitely not trivial. I mean, I think the last week we averaged 24 miles, which is, again, not a trivial amount. So something to consider there. I'm going to take a quick moment here to respond to my girlfriend. She's been calling me, but let's see. I am walking. It's nice that I'm able to actually use my phone while walking. It was something I was concerned about a couple days ago until I discovered that I can actually use it. So I think that's a really big benefit right there. Let me see. It's okay. Are you home? That's what I'm asking. Maybe she's home already. She actually went to a get-together for her place of work. And wasn't expecting her to be back yet. So let's see what she says. I let Sawyer, normally I leave him inside the crate when we go out, but he's been behaving pretty well, so I just decided to leave him in the outside area. One of our fears is that maybe he'll jump on the sofa when we're out, but I think he knows not to. One thing, actually, I was talking to one of my students this morning with my web development tutoring, and he's sort of regressing on biting the legs of the chair, the office chair. Now, dogs love doing that, and that's what he did. He bites the office chair legs while I'm talking to my students, and it's a little bit annoying, and I'll give him like 2 chances to redeem himself, and then I just put him in timeout because that's a regression. He's not really supposed to be doing that, and I think he knows, but he does it anyway. That's just a phase, maybe. So anyway, back to what we were saying. Let's see what we had on the list here. Channel updates. Yeah, so that's what Task With Me is. A really cool thing. Small victories here, but I intend on continuing to make these videos and get to my ultimate goal of 10K. We got a new subscriber yesterday. I'm so excited to have a new subscriber. I mean, it's just one person, but at least there's growth. and hopefully they can see the value in these videos and can tell their friends and hopefully get on the same routine and notify me of how their life has changed because they're getting on this routine. So I think that's cool. I'm looking to continue growing that subscriber base. If you guys know, my sort of challenge is to get to at least just 100 subscribers. When I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to be going on a date with my girlfriend to a nice Mexican place that we have been eyeing for some time. And that's why I want to get to the 100 subscribers. So help me get to 100 subscribers so I can take my girlfriend out on a nice date. And I know what some of you may be thinking. You should be taking your girlfriend out on nice dates whenever. Doesn't necessarily need to be for an accomplishment. And yeah, I understand completely. We go out on, I'd say, plenty of dates. There are, okay, I need to take a second here and just pause. And I know I'm in front of someone's house, but there are some bunnies right here. I hope you all can see them. I wish I had preview on here, but there are some nice, very nice bunnies right here in front of this house. It's very cool. I hope the owners did not see me. I'm just checking my camera here real quick to make sure we're still fixed. Okay. I think I was biking here a while ago and I saw the same bunnies. So maybe those bunnies are theirs. This is a nice looking house and it's for sale. That's cool. Okay, so moving along here. I talked about my 100 subscriber goal and what that entails for me. I have to continue checking my camera because I want to make sure it's tight, and I know that because of that issue I was having with the threading, it might not be so. Okay, so right now we're approaching 20 minutes. So we're, let's see, 15, 30, 45, a little less than a third of the way. Actually, let's just say we're some percentage. I can't do math right now. We're some percentage of the way to 40 minutes walk. And we're going to continue going along here at the same pace that we've been following. And we're going to move to my next topic, which is about Christmas shopping. So when I was younger, obviously, I didn't have any money. As a kid, if I got $5, I'm talking about elementary school. If I got $5, I was happy. In middle school, if I got $20, I was ecstatic. And in high school, if I got $50, well, that was a brand new game. I forgot that games used to be $50 before the Xbox One came out. Because I think for 360 games, maybe it was still 50. Or maybe just for Xbox games, it was 50. But anyway, Christmas shopping gets harder the older you get, because since you have money, you probably should buy things for people. Now, I'm not going to distill all the information, but my girlfriend has a fantastic idea to make that whole process easier. Again, I'm not going to talk about it, but I think it's awesome, and I really hope she gets a chance to do it. So this year, I would like to buy presents for my mom, my dad, my brother, my girlfriend's family. And it's not easy. One, it's not easy because I also want to try and be unique. You might say, well, just get them the same thing you got them the previous year. Well, what's the fun in that, right? Also, people change, their interests change. You don't really know what it is that they like. So it's very hard to decide when to get a present. And also, I was just talking about this with my girlfriend the other day. I tend to procrastinate. I know I procrastinate. If you are all listening, I have not purchased any Christmas presents yet. Today is what, the 19th? I have 6 days to get presents for my loved ones, and it's probably going to be difficult, but 'tis life. Gotta make do with what we have. Nice boat, nice looking boat. Got multiple boats. That's what you do in Florida, you get boats. So I gotta figure out what to get. I have ideas of what each of those people like, but it ain't gonna be easy. Now I can only understand how it must be for parents. Maybe that's why after 18 you end up just getting money. Pretty much they figure, hey, just get whatever you want. I don't want to be responsible for having to figure out what it exactly is you like. So here's some money, some gift cards. Amazon gift cards are pretty good, or Visa gift cards. I mean, people love money, and it's true. With that, you can do anything. Even more so with a Visa gift card. With an Amazon gift card, you can only get things from Amazon. So it's been a little stressful. I'm not gonna lie. I talked a lot with my girlfriend about it. What are some of the best things that we can be getting? And frankly, I'm just not sure. But I guess they will all find out in about 6 days. So that should be pretty interesting. Okay, so let's see, we're at 20 minutes now, which now means we're halfway. So previously we were a little over 33% done. Now we're getting to the halfway point, and I'm gonna turn around here because the wind is picking up. Okay, so if you guys have seen a lot of my videos, you know that at one point I talked about cognitive biases. And luckily I found another article on the same subreddit. The subreddit is called Cool Guides, and it's about logical fallacies. So I don't know how long I'm gonna spend on that topic, but I have 20 minutes left. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with that and see what we can learn about some of these. I really like this sort of thing because it's really philosophical. It really piques your interest. I was talking to one of my students about this on my web development, and she's also very interested in it. I thought it was pretty neat, and it's just fun to find someone who has like similar interests. You just have a good conversation. But that's like about anyone, right? It's like the reason you make friends. You find people that have common interests. So we're gonna start on this list. I'm gonna do my best to distill each one of these and talk about them, summarize them in a way that makes sense, and hopefully you guys will find this talk engaging and thoughtful, thought-provoking. Okay, so let's see the first one here. The first logical fallacy that we have is called the Straw Man Fallacy. So the Straw Man's Fallacy says it's misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. I'm gonna read a little bit more of a description of what that means, and then we'll see if we can't relate it to one of our own previous experiences, and we'll talk about it from there. So it says, by exaggerating, misrepresenting, or just completely fabricating someone's argument, it is much easier to present your own position as being reasonable or valid. But this kind of dishonesty serves to undermine rational debate. To me, this almost sounds like you're putting words in someone's mouth, or you're falsifying any claims that they made. You're not painting the most accurate picture of what someone said. You're misrepresenting it. That's exactly what it is, right? And it makes it easier for you to attack an argument when it's not like what they said. For example, someone might tell you, well, this is a certain way because of ABC, and then when you present the same argument to someone else, you may say, well, this person told me that something is a particular way because of DEF, and I don't think that's right. And maybe you just change the way, you change the way that you're presenting it, so that way when you tell it to other people, they might actually look at you and say, well, yeah, you're right, that person's wrong. But in reality, you just failed to represent their claim valid, or correctly valid. That's not a good way of saying that. Apologies for the wind. I have to make it through this section so that I sort of stay in the same area that I tend to walk in. I know we said we're going to do something new, but I don't want to stray too far away. Anyway, let's get to the next one here. Slippery slope. I've heard about this one before. Similar with straw man, I feel like some of these are very common. We've all heard about these before. So slippery slope is asserting that if we allow A to happen, then Z will consequently happen too. Therefore, A should not happen. So what does it say? The problem with this reasoning is that it avoids engaging with the issue at hand and instead shifts attention to baseless, extreme hypotheticals. The merits of the original argument are then tainted by unsubstantiated conjecture. Man, what a mouthful. But let's think about that and see if we can relate it to one of our own experiences in the past. Asserting that if we allow A to happen, then Z will consequently happen too. Therefore, A should not happen. Well, I think we've all been in a situation. Now, what happens if you have previous experience where you know that A will actually cause B? What I think it's trying to prevent is we shouldn't not do A because we assume that Z will happen. Maybe that's the case, right? Because maybe there's a chance that it won't. Even if statistics prove or show that it might, I guess it's not really necessarily true. So we should just go for it anyway. How can I relate that to something specific? Let's see. I can't think of any off the top, but I imagine myself as a kid, and I don't know, my mom tells me something and she tells me not to do this because this will happen, but I don't know, maybe that's not the correct way of thinking. Although, what if it's actually happened and it happens multiple times? There are some things that if you do, they will have a certain effect that will always happen. So this one's interesting. There's another paragraph. Let's see what that one says. So it says, Colin Closet asserts that if we allow same-sex couples to marry, then the next thing we know will be allowing people to marry their parents, their cars, and bonobo monkeys. Ah, okay, I see. Ooh, this kind of correlates with I'm not really gonna dig too deep into this, but the whole thing with Harry Styles on Vogue, I think, where he was wearing a dress, that maybe if now we start allowing men to wear dresses, it means that at some point in the future men will, I don't know, embody feminism or something instead of masculinity. But that's getting a little political and not really my style for this channel, but still curious to know what people think. If you all have your own comments on that, I'd love to start a conversation on that. Why not? Special pleading. Here's a third one. Moving the goalposts or making up exceptions when a claim is shown to be false. Humans are funny creatures and have a foolish aversion to being wrong. Rather than appreciate the benefits of being able to change one's minds through better understanding, many will invent ways to cling to old beliefs. Edward Johns claimed to be psychic, but when his quote-unquote abilities were tested under proper scientific conditions, they magically disappeared. Edward explained this, saying that one had to have faith in his abilities for them to work. Moving the goalposts or making up exceptions when a claim is shown to be false. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit. You make a claim, someone tests that claim, and I guess you say, no, it actually has to be tested this way and then it will work. Trust me, it has to be like this. And I guess it makes sense, like what he's saying. He was a psychic. His claims were tested under scrutiny, under scientific scrutiny. And then he said, no, you have to have faith in his abilities for them to work. So they're probably wrong factually, logically, but if you have faith, they will work. Now that's interesting because, you know, a lot of you might be thinking, well, you know, logic and faith kind of sounds like the whole evolution here. How, you know, are we just, how do we say it? Are we just, I don't even know how to say it, but are we just a process of evolution? Are we an effect of evolution, or are we created by God? Anyway, that's a heavy topic to get into, and I thought about that. Interesting. Let's keep moving here. The gambler's fallacy. Believing that runs occur to statistically independent phenomena such as roulette wheel spins. This commonly believed fallacy can be fairly said to have created an entire city in the desert of Nevada, USA. But the overall odds of a big run happening may be low. Each spin of the wheel is itself entirely independent from the last. Ah, okay, this makes sense. Yep, you're on a hot streak. That doesn't exist. It's purely coincidence. There is no such thing as a hot streak, and every run is independent from the one prior to it. Interesting. You ever feel like when you're in the zone, like, is the zone a real thing? Or is it just a coincidence? I feel like the zone is the same thing as being as a hot streak. For example, you're working, I'm a programmer, so sometimes I'll be programming and it'll just be coming out very fluidly. Right? I'm in the zone. I feel like things are making sense. I'm able to just process things on the fly. Don't really have to think about it, and the code just ends up looking great. Is that the same thing as the gambler's fallacy? Can I imagine that I'm on a hot streak? Or is it just a coincidence? For example, can I say, you know, for the rest of the, as long as I continue going, the code will be really good? I don't know. What do you all think? Is the zone the same as being in a hot streak? Let's talk about it. Black or white? It says, where two alternative states are presented as the only possibilities when in fact more possibilities exist. Also known as the false dilemma, this insidious tactic has the appearance of forming a logical argument, but under closer scrutiny, it becomes evident that there are more possibilities than the either or choice that is presented. A little bit of a mouthful, let's read the example. Whilst rallying support for his plan to fundamentally undermine citizens' rights, the Supreme Leader told the people they were either on his side or on the side of the enemy. Okay, when I was younger, not to get into politics, but when I was younger, I assumed I was a Republican. I'm not saying that my political stance has changed, but you can't say that just because I don't support the Republican candidate means that I'm a Democrat, because I can support some of his views or her views and some of the Democrats' views, and maybe a libertarian's views, and so on and so forth. Independent views, right? There are many views. It doesn't have to be black and white. There is not an A or B answer. It's a multitude of answers. So that's interesting. I like that one. That's cool. I'm gonna go back to the GoPro here to see what time we're at. We're at 30 minutes, making great time. Again, we're aiming for 40 minutes today. I'm gonna keep going on with logical fallacies. I think this is really interesting. If you're all following me, I encourage you to continue. We got 10 minutes left. You're all doing great. Let's achieve our fitness goal and let's wrap up the week strong. So next week we are able to continue like we normally do. Let's keep it going here. Okay. Next one is a false cause. Presuming that a real or perceived relationship between things means that one is the cause of the other. So let's see. Many people confuse correlation for causation. Sometimes correlation is coincidental, or it may be attributable to a common cause. Pointing to a fancy chart, Roger shows how temperatures have been rising over the past few centuries, whilst at the same time the numbers of pirates have been decreasing. Thus pirates cool the world, and global warming is a hoax. How can I relate this to something that has happened to me in the past? Let's see. Let's think. I don't really know, but here's like a dumb example, I think. I was gonna say something about the weather and dogs, but just coming up with a really bizarre example. If the weather starts to cool, the weather is cooling, or there's a trend that the weather is cooling over the past year, and there's also a trend that more people are buying dogs. So it means that the temperature is directly related to the amount of dogs that are being bought at any given time. Now I understand that's a crazy example, and maybe it's not even what false cause is, but I feel like it's sort of related. Let's keep going here. Ad hominem. Attacking your opponent's character or personal traits instead of engaging with their argument. Ad hominem attacks can take the form of overly attacking somebody or more subtly casting doubt on their character. The result of an ad hom attack can be to undermine someone without actually having to engage with their argument. After Sally presents an eloquent and compelling case for a more equitable taxation system, Sam asks the audience whether we should believe anything from a woman who isn't married, was once arrested, and smells a bit weird. I see this a lot, and this is a common one, for sure. I don't really want to get into specifics here, but let's think about something. Is that almost like a first impression? I don't know. But we can all understand what's being said here, right? This person comes, makes a really good claim about something with good factual information, and instead of engaging with the argument, you turn around and you say, hey, okay, that's cool, but can we really listen to someone who dresses weird, who doesn't smell good, so on and so forth? It's a fallacy. We see it a lot. Loaded question. Asking a question that has an assumption built into it so that it can't be answered without appearing guilty. A loaded question fallacies are particularly effective at derailing rational debates because of the inflammatory nature. The recipient of the loaded question is compelled to defend themselves and may appear flustered or on the back foot. Grace and Helen were both romantically interested in Brad. One day, with Brad sitting within earshot, Grace asked in an inquisitive tone whether Helen was having any problems with the drug habit. Oh man, I saw a question about this. I saw an example of this recently on TV and I wish that I could remember. But let's see if we can't come up with our own example. A loaded question. Can't be answered without appearing guilty. Yeah. Okay, it's like, for example, you see a movie where there's like two guys fighting for a girl and they each want the girl, so they're kind of just like throwing jabs at each other. And one of them is like, oh, don't you have to go and, you know, take care of your dog or something like this? Although I suppose that even if you answer that question, you don't really appear guilty, so I think it has to make you feel guilty. But me having to go take care of my dog, that sounds more like a that sounds more like a cock block. If you guys are familiar, maybe a cock block is a fallacy. It might be. That's what that sounds like. Let's continue along with here with bandwagon. I don't think I have talked too much about this one. It's very common. Appealing to popularity, or the fact that many people do something as an attempted form of validation. So a good example of this, I think, is Among Us. I've actually not played Among Us at all, but I feel a lot of people are compelled to play Among Us, not because they think the game might actually be good, but because they want to fit in and they want to be validated by their peers. And I think social media really tends to go in this direction. For example, I was never into social media in the sense of like Snapchat or Instagram. Facebook I was, but, and I won't lie, there were times that because I didn't have these social media outlets, I did feel a little bit invalidated, or I didn't feel part of the group. But I also didn't just want to do it because everyone else was doing it. That's not something that really affected me that much growing up, but I totally understand why it could be an issue, especially in like your adolescence years, teen years. Begging the question: a circular argument in which the conclusion is included in the premise. So it says, the world of Zorbo the Great is flawless and perfect. We know this because it says so in the great and infallible book of Zorbo's best and most truest things that are definitely true and should not ever be questioned. This logically incoherent argument often arises in situations where people have an assumption that is very ingrained and therefore taken in their minds as a given. Circular reasoning is bad mostly because it's not good. A circular argument in which the conclusion is included in the premise. Okay, so going back to the same example they gave, there's a book that's called The Best Thing, okay, the seven great habits of successful people, or something like that. I mean, we know that those are probably really good habits because it says so, right? I mean, it says it in the book. The 7 habits of highly successful people must be those 7 things, because that's literally the title of the book. So it must be true. Am I incorrect in saying that? I'd be curious to know what you all think. Appeal to authority. Using the opinion or position of an authority figure or institution of authority in place of an actual argument. Not able, from now I'm just going to read examples instead of like more clarification. I think examples actually help a little more. Not able to defend his position that evolution isn't true. Bob says that he knows a scientist who also questions evolution. Okay. I present a claim, I present an argument, the person defending themselves does not believe me, and I say, well, I actually know someone else that feels the same way I do. So, you know, well, I guess it can't be anyone, just anyone else. It has to be someone with an authority. It has to be someone in an authoritative position. For example, okay, how about this? You are at work, you feel a certain way, your boss feels a certain way. It must be true. I mean, my boss feels that way, you know? So how can it be false? Appeal to nature, making the argument that because something is natural, it is therefore valid, justified, inevitable, or ideal. This is actually something I almost fall into. Good conversation I had with my girlfriend about sort of products that may have some chemicals in them. And sometimes those chemicals are actually good. I'm just looking here because I think I hear skateboarding, which is cool. I used to skateboard a lot, so always nice to hear that sound. Yeah, I'm very much into natural, like holistic sort of things. I'm not much into taking medicine if I don't have to, kind of just let my body do its thing. But I understand that some chemicals are good and they're effective at what they do, and you know, I don't necessarily have to do everything naturally. I can't appeal to nature for everything. Just because something is natural, it doesn't necessarily mean it's better. So that's something that definitely happens to myself and my girlfriend. She, not to say she's against the natural route, but she does have her own experiences with things that are not natural, that are actually better than those that are. Wow, okay, it's about to be 40 minutes. We made it to a little bit over halfway of the Logical Fallacies Guide. I'm gonna wrap things up here. Thank you all so much for watching this last video of our 3rd week. It's been really fun. The 40-minute walk is definitely challenging, even for me actually. I didn't have this whole thing scripted out, so it was a little bit hard for me to keep up with topics. Sometimes I feel like I'm just rambling, but I think that's sort of what makes it so organic, this whole podcast sort of thing. I am looking forward to week 4. If you guys are all new, please remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and ring that alert notification bell to continue walking with me, achieving your fitness goals and getting to a good level of cardio that you want to get to. As always, I will see you all in a couple days. Stay fit, stay healthy. See you next time.